Welcome back to another episode of Different Dadpreneurs. Super excited to have Phil Risher on from Flash Consulting. And Phil is a marketing wizard working with trades businesses, really helping them implement systems and strategies to level up their marketing engine in the business. And super excited to have you on today, Phil. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Also a dad, got a 2-year-old daughter, so got
And we're going to
both
get into that.
things covered.
Yeah, we're going to get into
Sweet.
that. Um, Well, just tell us a little bit about the business, what you're doing. Just give a little bit more context.
Yeah, for sure. So I started in the trades, actually. I worked at a $3 million home service business, and my background, digital marketing, sales, running local service businesses. And when I went there, there's a glaring issue when I started trying to grow this business, which was traditional digital marketing is focused on SEO, Google ads, pay more on ads. The relationship with the digital marketing company was just very cookie cutter fluff, looking at numbers. There was no strategy behind it. And what I realized was when I'm trying to grow the business, I'd be asking them questions. Who are these leads that you're getting us? How do we know if it's actually converting? What's the return on ad spend numbers? All these questions that you would want to know when you're trying to grow. And what I realized, I analyzed a bunch of calls in the business and processes, and most companies need this customer journey, which is what we figured out. And the customer journey has three parts. It has visibility, SEO ads, conversions, converting leads into sales, and retargeting past prospects and customers. That company went from $3 million to $4 million in 10 months, and the owner fired me. And he fired me because he ended up, doing $4 million. Bottom line, dropped $1 million, and I'm like ready to grow this thing. And he's like, "Dude, I'm making $1 million. Like, I'm happy, man. Chill out." So he starts telling all of his friends, and he became my first client. He actually named my company. He referred me to a couple different businesses. That was 6 years ago, and now we work with home service businesses all over the country. We implement this customer journey in their business. We're consultants. We use their CRM. We help with digital marketing. We use the data to make decisions, and we help companies grow.
Yeah, awesome. Um, and how would you differentiate a bit more on like what you do differently than what a lot of other trades or construction business owners might be working with?
Yeah, the number one thing is in our name. I could have called the company Flash Digital, but I called it Flash Consulting because we have these consultants. And the consultants are your account manager on steroids. You basically get a marketing team bolted into your business with a marketing director. So our consulting team, they're all six-figure earners. They all know how to run a business or have run a business before. And we're using your CRM data, all your reports, your sales team, your CSR, your customer service reps, your call scripts, your estimates to do marketing. Like, we're running Google ads, but we're using your return on ad spend data inside of your CRM. We're building all this stuff together. So from a traditional digital marketing perspective, it's like I hired this SEO company. They're doing Google ads for me and maybe Facebook ads. That's the traditional what you're used to. This is that times 10, which is actually using your data to make decisions and grow your business and building a consistent and sustainable marketing game plan in your business that's running. So that's the main difference.
Yeah, it feels more holistic. Like I think a lot of companies like we got you these leads, and that's as far as we go. It's not integrating that into how it works and the impacts of that. So you're 6 years in,
Yep.
and you are a dad.
I have a dad.
Uh, at what stage of the business were you at when you had your kid? And yeah, just take me through like that leap of becoming a dad while being a business owner.
Yeah, for sure. So I started the business 6 years ago, and it was on my wife's and I's honeymoon. So we got married, honeymoon, business owner was the trajectory. Then the first 2 years in the business, I was literally the first year selling my time. So I was just an hourly consultant type of thing going around helping people. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just helping people do what I did at this last company. And then I got referred to too many people, so I had to productize our service because I ran out of hours. I ran out of 40 hours. So I productized our service into this customer journey and what does this look like? And after 2 years, I really started to hit my stride with like, what do we do? Who do we work with? And at that point, we were doing about like maybe 300,000 in revenue. So I hired my first other consultant, and we had a back end team of a couple people. And then 4 years into the business, so another 2 years, that's when I became a dad. And at that point, this was a very pivotal moment in the company, because what I realized was, we were probably doing like 800, 900,000 revenue, maybe right around there. But I didn't have any systems or teams in my business. I was literally doing about 6 hats. And I didn't have time. Like when my daughter was born, it was like, I'll take time off, quote unquote. But like, what does that even mean? Still checking my emails, taking calls, whatever. And that over the last 2 years, it's been like, I need to fire Phil. I need to build a team. And the growth from there has been exponential once I started doing that. And the problem was, growing up, I had this scarcity mindset, which was like, I need to really hold on to this profit. I need to make sure I don't spend too much money, all this stuff. I wasn't thinking offense. I was thinking defense, and like, oh my gosh, this is so great. So, and we can elaborate more on that, but that's basically the trajectory of when I became a dad, where I was at in my business journey. From that point 2 years ago, we're literally probably double the size now, revenue wise, team wise, more than double team wise. So, and the trajectory is even, much higher. So it's
Yeah.
exciting.
What did you notice about this scarcity mindset? Because I think that's a common thing in the entrepreneur journey, especially as, I don't know, my experience was like we had a kid and I was like, oh, like it just becomes even more real. So I'm curious about how you've navigated through that.
Yeah. You know what, dude, I didn't even talk this much about my story, but, um, I'm a big debt free guy. So like when I came out of college, I had 30,000 in student loans, and I paid that off in the first year out of college. Then I saved up the next 3 years, and I bought a condo with cash when I was 25. So talk about scarcity mindset. I was like, debt is terrible. I need to just like, and not that this is a bad thing, but I'm just like, everything I do is no risk, like no rent, no mortgage, no debt, nothing, which is great. I set myself up for success so that way I can take risks, which I did that. But then when I flipped the script from employee to business owner, I also flipped the earning potential from 100 or 200,000 as an employee to unlimited. So my mindset has to shift, which how I'm allocating my resources. And the benefit was that I had this great foundation of debt free, right? Like no rent, no mortgage, no nothing. So when I started business, okay, cool. I got to make like $5,000 or $6,000 a month, and like I'll figure it out or whatever. Who cares? Like all my stuff's paid for. When I had a kid, it was the exact same thing. Like I have all this, great stuff with no debt. So it's just the sky's the limit. It was more so about my time, because the book Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell, he's like, if you have the money to solve a problem, you don't have a problem. I was just scared to spend the money to solve these problems, because I was like, well, what if this doesn't work? What if these things don't work? And so that was my thing that was holding me back. I had the money. I just was not executing with the money the correct way that I should.
And what was the unlock for you to overcome that little hurdle mentally?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to the scarcity mindset thing, which was, okay, Phil, your revenue 700,000, your profits, 40%, whatever. You're making 300, 400,000. Like that's cool. I'm a Christian, and one of the things that hit me hard was, bro, you're 33 years old. You have these talents. Are you going to hide them under a rock and sit here and just hang out? Or are you going to go out and multiply your talents and do this thing and like help other people have this great job, help other businesses have this for the next 60 years? You're going to sit here and make 200,000 and twiddle your thumbs. Like it just didn't sit right with me. And so I'm like, okay, well, I need to be expanding and taking risks. And the crazy thing, man, when I finally spent the money and took the risk, I felt invigorated because I had new challenges and new problems to solve. And that was a big unlock for me, was like, okay, I could just sit here and coast and make 6 figures, woohoo, whatever. Like that's all good and well. But like, is that really is that what life is? Is that what it comes down to for the next 60 years? Like, no, there's more problems to have. And who knows, it could all go down to zero and there's new problems to solve. But like, that was a big unlock for me, was like, what am I going to be doing for the next 67 years of my life? And I know I have so much more to give and more problems to solve and things to do. So that's when I was like, let's get it. Let's get after it.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said for, I think everybody goes through these periods of complacency. And I don't think it's a bad thing either. Like, I think there's periods, like I know when our daughter was born, that first year, it's kind of like survival mode. There's a lot of change in a different domain, and you might be coasting a little bit more in the business, but I think that can creep in and you don't really notice it because you're like sleep deprived, and then it's like 2 years, 3 years down the road. But that engagement, that spark, I don't know. It's this fleeting magical thing that I think if you're in that complacency zone, like how do you get out of that?
Yeah.
Um,
For me, I actually had to change the way that I use the verbiage, in that I'm content still to this day with my lifestyle and what I have, but I'm not complacent in the impact that I know that I can make and the talents that I have. And for me, it allows me to live those two dual things. Like, I don't need a bigger house. I don't need more money. I don't need this, but I know that I'm great. I'm created for greater things, that I can do greater things. So don't be complacent in my execution. I can be content in what I have. And I agree with you. Like, as a dad, um, I wanted to be present and available and supportive for my wife while also executing on a high level with a business. And even worse off for me, this is something that I struggled with, was like, now I have this team that I'm telling, like, hey guys, you can make six figures. Hey guys, we're going to grow this business. And they're looking at me to be like, Phil, you got to execute to make this happen. Like, you sold us this dream. Like, let's do this. And I feel the pressure on both sides of it. Like, I got to support this, but I also have to make reality what I'm selling these people on this dream. And that's when I realized, like, I really got to start building out these systems and processes in the business so that it's not on me, because that's not fair to my team. It's not fair to my customers. It's not fair to me. So all this stuff was shifting in my brain in these like 2, 3, 4 years.
yeah, super cool. What was the most challenging period of time within that? Like, is there a specific moment or story that lands?
Yeah, I read books, E-Myth 2.0, systemology, traction, all this stuff, SOP, and I'm like, I'm the SOP guy, like, I document everything, whatever. So I'm like, my SOPs are tight. So I start hiring these people and my SOPs are trash. And like, it's just like falling apart. Like, every single thing is just literally falling apart. And I'm like, oh gosh, like, because I was doing everything, so I knew what to do, and like, I thought I would document things, like I would do Loom videos, I would do this, but like, you can't do. So like, probably for like and I'm growing, like because now I have people doing stuff, so I can focus just on sales and marketing, and I'm growing like a lot. So all my stuff is falling apart, and I'm trying to grow, and I have all these new people coming on board with new clients and all this stuff. It's just a big mess. This was about like a year ago. And now we're pretty much on the other side of all of the issues, but that was a big thing when I started bringing on all these hires and stuff. My SOPs were terrible, and we needed to make sure that we have correct SOPs. And one of the big unlocks for me now is that I have the seats on the bus and I have the people in the seats. So now I have it built out so that way, okay, if someone wants to leave or someone's not the right fit, I at least have the role available and the funds available to plug people in. And that was really hard to get to.
What about that was so difficult getting to that stage?
Well, it's the thing, like, this could go to zero tomorrow. Like, I could lose everything. This could not work. Now I'm allocating hundreds of thousands of dollars to all these people, to all these systems, to all these processes. And like, it could not work. And I could have wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars and it go all the way back down to just me being a consultant, which, not the end of the world, but I feel like I'm not being a good steward of the finances, because I'm spending this money and then I'm not holding up my end of the bargain or executing to the fullest extent. And I feel like, all of that struggle of am I allocating these resources correctly? And am I doing everything I can to make sure that I'm doing it right? It's a lot of pressure, obviously.
Yeah. So shifting gears a little bit, you get to work inside and have seen inside a lot of businesses. That's a lot of what your work is.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest mistakes you see consistently?
Yeah. This is the mistake that when I say this, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, of course this is a mistake, but it's return on ad spend. Everyone is praying to Google gods for leads with Google search ads or Facebook ads or Yelp or whatever ad platform that they're doing, and they have no idea if it's working. They're literally gambling their money away because they don't have a return on ad spend report every single month with all the money that they're allocating towards things. They may have some resemblance of this, or they might think they have it, but they don't have it dialed into how much they're spending on a monthly basis, their cost per lead, and the actual return on ad spend that they're getting every single month. And most people, like I said, praying to Google gods, and they don't have a game plan or framework. And this is the same thing that I faced was when I'm slow, how do I know what to do to get more leads and what's working or what's not working? And I would go to my digital marketing company and say, what should we do? And they would say, spend more on ads. And I'm like, how do I know that this is generating revenue? What's my return on ad spend? They would say, well, go in your CRM, figure this out. These are the leads. That's why we need someone to tie all this stuff together, tell us on a monthly basis, have the data, good decisions. This is the biggest thing that everyone misses.
Yeah. What's been the hardest lesson for you? Like, you're working with a lot of businesses on their marketing. I'm curious about what's been the hardest lesson for you in marketing your business.
Yeah.
And like, I find sometimes people that are good at one thing, they're great at doing that for others. But sometimes when we put the mirror up, it's not as great.
Yeah. Huge challenge. And the reason is because we work with home service businesses that are B2C, so residential style. That is a completely different playbook than B2B, which is what I do, which is I'm targeting people all over the country that have businesses, not residential homeowners. It's a completely different marketing game plan. On top of that, I can't use my resources, my processes that I market these home service businesses because that's going to take away from that. So I almost have to have a separate team or process for my B2B marketing versus what I actually do. And it was a big conundrum for me for about 2 years. That once I figured out what I do, that after that 2-year mark, the next 2 years was figuring out, well, how the heck do I market this thing and get leads coming in, because it's way different than what I do over here. And it was a big challenge for me because I can't use my resources, my internal resources, because then I'm a whole different SOP and process. I got to figure it out over here. So that was a big challenge. We're on the other side of that for the most part now, but that was a big pivotal unlock and also challenge.
Yeah. And what are you doing now that's been working the best for you?
Yeah. So funny enough, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, right around that same time, I hired a coach for specifically a consulting coaching company to come in and like professionalize my consulting business of like, what the heck do I do? And one of the things that they were saying was like, you need to really focus on going to where your customers are at. So I said, okay, where are they at? And so our customers use different CRMs, Jobber, House Call Pro, Service Titan, Workiz, like that's the CRMs that they use. And I know that they all use these platforms. So I went on Facebook and I found some Facebook groups that they're all in, for a Jobber Facebook group, a Service Titan Facebook group, whatever. And inside of those groups, people are asking marketing questions. So I started just going to these groups every day, filtering it by marketing and answering these people's questions inside of these Facebook groups. Then I would take the comments and I would turn them into video content, LinkedIn posts, whatever, because I knew that this is the questions that people are asking. So now I know what to create. And a crazy thing happened. Jobber, a CRM, they reached out to me about a year and a half, 2 years ago and said, hey, we see you very active in our Facebook group. We love everything that you're doing. Would you want to be on our podcast? I said, yeah, sure, of course. They said, let me tell you about how we're going to fly you out to Las Vegas, how we're going to pay you to be on every single podcast, and we're going to unlock you put you on all of our email stuff to all of our 30,000 users of home service. So I go out to Las Vegas, I record these videos, and then all these leads, right, start coming in. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'm like, okay, I think I need to do podcasting and create more content and get out in front of people. Because what I realize is that our avatar is home service business owner, 1 to 10 million in revenue. Those people read books, listen to podcasts, use YouTube for educational content, and use LinkedIn. So that's what I do now. And we get a good amount of leads. But more importantly, I'm just creating content to help people. So that was a big unlock. Another one that I'll share with you, and this is B2B or B2C, is there's a book by Dan Kennedy called Marketing to the Affluent. What he says in this book, obviously I would read it, but like the number one thing that I took away was that as you make more money or charge more money, people work with you because of who you are, not what you do. So people work with you because of who you are, not what you do. It's your job to give them the story to tell. So for me, We work with Flash Consulting or Phil Risher. He was featured on the Jobber podcast. He had X, Y, and Z on his podcast. They have over 100 5-star Google reviews. He da 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 da. They got to tell the story of what that is. And you have to be able to build that story to tell them.
Yeah, it's really hitting home. I just read a book called The Obvious Choice. Are you familiar with that one?
I've never read it, but it sounds like what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's like the main thesis is there's a lot of people that get sucked into social media, like these different kind of, they are fads in some way with how to get leads and get business. And his thing is, what's the obvious choice? And the example he gave was his financial advisor. He's using that because that was his dad's financial advisor. And his dad used that financial advisor because he was part of the church that he was associated with. It's like, that was the obvious choice. And nowhere in there did they do a ton of research into his credibility and expertise. It was like a trust thing.
That's right.
And one of the things that just hit home for me was that brand association kind of skips some of that. And in the book, he says, people don't need all the reasons and background that you have that you feel is important to share, which is what I get hung up on sometimes. He's like, they just need a good enough reason to pitch it to their wife for their wife to be like, yeah, it makes sense. Go for it. And it's like,
literally,
that's just exactly what you said. It's like, oh, that's what the wife will give the thumbs up on. It's like, there's enough credibility there. So I still have to read the book, by the way. You mentioned it the last time we connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great book, man. Great book.
Yeah. So since having your kid, how have you shown up differently in business because of that? We talked about some of the systems that kind of kicked off some of the start, but I'm curious about maybe how you're leading or connecting with people, or just like your maturity as a business owner has changed.
Yeah. I would, one of the biggest challenges for me was, so my wife is a teacher. She teaches kindergarten, and it's not flexible, when your kid's sick, as flexible as like my job is flexible, right? Like I'm the owner. I could take off or I could figure other things out. Where with her, it's like, I have this staff meeting. I have to go. I have to do this. And it was very, very, very hard for me because my daughter's sick. She can't go to daycare. No one can watch her. I can take off, but I also have this unlimited potential to make money. I also have this team that I'm responsible for to get success. And it was this, in my mind, I'm like stuck because I'm frustrated, but I'm also thankful that I can take care of my daughter. And so for me, I had to reposition it in that I have the ability to spend time with my daughter. And these are the times that she's going to remember being home with dad, hanging out, doing things that, like, the work stuff will take care of itself. And there's a balance in that. Like, I'm not saying my wife never takes off, whatever. It's a balance, but it's very hard for me. And another one is like, she's up all night, sick. And it's like, then I got to show up and go hard all day. And it's like, I'm struggling on that. And yes, so all of those things were very challenging for me. The flip side to that is that I work a lot harder now, in my opinion, because I want to show her what hard work looks like. And I want to model what success looks like in the sense of helping people, solving problems, getting after it, not just sitting around, So those are all different things. But I would say overall, the challenge that I mentioned in the beginning is that's the hardest. That was and I still struggle with that now, which is like, oh my gosh, I have a packed day of stuff that, like, I can cancel it, but I don't want to because it's like more clients or more things.
Yeah. This is why I love these conversations, because there is such a like built-in tension. Be an awesome present dad, spend that time, create those memories, build the business for the future and the opportunity that comes with that.
That's right. I'll share a couple other things, like on the flip side to how my work has changed. So I do drop off in the morning for daycare. So she gets dropped off around 8 o'clock. I pick her up from daycare around 4:30. So my schedule, that's my routine. Then at 5 o'clock, I have an alarm on my phone for All-Star Dad. So at 5 o'clock, it goes off All-Star Dad. My phone goes on Do Not Disturb. And it's like, I go hard all day for my team at Flash and our customers. At night is my time to go hard for the fam. And then on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I have my phone on do not disturb. And literally, sometimes I'll even just turn off my phone all day Saturday. And it's just family time. So to me, it's not necessarily work-life balance 50-50. It's like 100% work, 100% family, like locked in whatever time frame or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah. I really believe, especially in entrepreneurship, that balance isn't equilibrium. It's not 50-50, but that sense of balance comes from when you are allocating your time in alignment with your expectations. So I think that's the tension, is when you expect to have more time on the business, but you don't.
Yeah.
That's when it's tough. Or you expect to have more time with your family and be present with them, but you're either just not present or you just don't have that time. And when that's out of sync, I think that's what creates like way more of that kind of imbalance or burnout.
Yeah, that's right. Or you're distracted on either fronts.
Yeah. You're not actually present with the one thing that you are doing because you're thinking about the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. I call that the double-edged guilt sword. You're guilty both ways.
Yeah, there you go.
What else has been helpful for you in terms of habits? Maybe things that you're doing to help better manage that trade-off and that tension between work and family.
Yeah, I'm also like really, really big routine guy. And like before we had a child, it was just easy, it's my routine in the morning. And then the first year is like your routine's out the window and like you're just grasping for sleep and whatever, surviving. And like reading 10 pages a day, walking for, I try to get 10,000 steps. And like my normal routine, I have that built in, but then the first year is like thrown out the window. And I had to give myself grace that like it can change literally week by week of like what the routine is. So that part of it of giving myself grace, but still having some resemblance of a routine has been important. I also do nighttime routine, to put her to bed and stuff, like read the book and all that stuff. And then if I can't walk before then, I'll walk after then. And just having the communication with my wife, I would say, this is very important. My wife is super supportive of like me, my goals, Flash, and vice versa. So it's really nice. Like I tell a lot of people when I talk to them, if they're trying to start a business or get married or whatever, it's like the home life for me is rock solid. Like financials, support, communication. And that allows me to go into like on the field, into battle, like ready to roll. Like I don't question anything that's happening outside of it, which then frees me up to be focused 100%. And I think that that's one of my secret powers, to be honest, is like that strength, the security.
What would you say have been the top things that have allowed you to have that really strong foundation on the home front?
Yeah, so my wife and I, we do a monthly budget meeting where we go through all of our numbers. So like when I started the company over that honeymoon period, we knew the numbers that I needed to hit in order to be good based off of our budget. On top of that, we set goals like, we want to buy a house, we want to buy cars, we want to do this thing. So like, what's that look like? And as far as distributions go or whatever, it allows us to have this communication piece. That's the first thing, is just having communication from a financial perspective is very important. Second, my wife and I, like last week, I was talking to you, pre-show, like my wife and I went on a week-long vacation, just her and I, to Aruba to be present. And I didn't look at my phone or emails or texts or calls or anything for a whole week, like disconnected from Flash, everything just wife and I focused, present. And obviously it's been 6 years and that's the first time I've done that. But we also do like date nights or other things where we can just spend time together. The way that her and I relate from a family dynamic perspective is that it's her and I first, and then my daughter second. So like my wife and I are locked in, and then we support our daughter and we're raising her to be a successful person. That's the way that we operate. All those things, I would say, to sum it all up, is just like hopefully have some type of communication with your wife about your finances and stuff like that. And also your family dynamic of what's the structure going to look like and how are we going to spend time together and be present together.
Yeah. And yeah, that quality time is so important. I wanted to loop back to your comment on the time off. We talked about that before we jumped on. So you took a week off, totally disconnected. What was hard about that for you?
Nothing. Really nothing, because what the way that I had structured it was, up until that point of a week off, I was running the business for a quarter as if I was off. Like, I'm literally in my head thinking, okay, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? What's going to happen? And like leading up to it, like a couple weeks up to it, it was like I was already off anyways. I was just doing stuff that I wanted to do inside of the business. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work or whatever. It was like, just going to run it like it's been normally running. I would say the most difficult thing that could have happened was me randomly clicking on my phone, clicking on my email, because it's a habit. So what I did was I put my email and Slack in a separate folder and then put it all the way on the last screen of my iPhone. So it was like I don't even look at it. The other thing with that, I had nothing that was worrisome, was that worst case, a client leaves, everything shuts down and goes to ashes, whatever. My security and my stuff is good. So like I'm good. And that is the security that I'm talking about, is like I feel good, like I'm good. So now I have to let the bird fly, the kid, go to high school and go there and figure it out. And like I really think of my business as that, which is like I'm not trying to build this thing that's a baby its whole life. I'm trying to build it so that it can go and thrive on its own, and like I can be the visionary and direct it just like a good parent would.
Yeah. Super cool. And the reason why I asked what's hard about that is I know of a number of people and clients, they actually get that time off for the first time, and it's super weird and uncomfortable because they're like twitchy, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And there's like that default mode with it.
I got you. Okay. So yes, the entrepreneur sitting on the beach with an umbrella and has a business idea to like start an umbrella stand and that whole thing. Like I had a notepad on my phone with like 30 ideas when I came back that I'm like executing, with my team and all this stuff. So like you never turn off the problem solving and the ideas, and you get, for me, I get the itch to like go do more things or solve more problems because it's just fun. But I also know that like for me, it's nice to kind of slow down a little bit. And I know my wife loves it too. And so I think there's a balance, but that was hard. Just like sitting around reading a book or not doing anything. It's like, it's not, I like to solve problems. I like to get after it and stuff.
Well, it's probably your brain set up to actually solve problems better because you are more relaxed. You have more space. And I think that's such an underrated performance thing as well. Like athletes take their breaks. I think a lot of entrepreneurs hustle, push, go, and those breaks are actually really important to see things differently.
I think it's, to me, the way that I look at it is like that whole like you're letting your bird fly, whatever, and you're guiding it, is like when you step back for a week, then you come back in and you're like, okay, what broke? What do I need to fix? It illuminates the problems, when you're in it on the day to day, you can't see it as clear because you haven't allowed it to break. You've been catching it before it breaks. But then when you step out and you come back in, it illuminates all the issues that you have to solve.
Yeah. One of the things we touched on as well before we started, I asked you what would you want to talk about, and you brought up the hustle culture, the way people go about work.
I wouldn't say the hustle culture. I would say the hustler has to die and the leader has to be born, because I think hustle culture is good. Like you got to get after it, but the way you get after it has to change to scale. And it's something I struggled with. So like for me, up until $1 million, like you got to hustle and figure things out. Like, YouTube University, you just got to problem solve, firefight, run to all the issues, figure it out. What I found out was that to go from 1 million to 10 million, 5 million, whatever that looks like, you can't run to all the problems and solve all the problems. You have to ask who, not how, and you have to work through people, not do the stuff yourself. And the hustler component has to die, and the leader has to be born of working through people. And it's a different way of hustling. It's just like you can't hustle to the problems. You have to hustle to figure things out and coach people and build your systems and processes.
What's been the biggest learning for you around shifting into that mode? Because it's something I see a lot, and I think there's sometimes a reluctance or there's underlying fears around it, but that letting go and moving into that new stage, what was hard about that for you, and maybe what helped you level up?
Yeah, definitely the who, not how. Cause like I'm I'm in strategic coach with Dan Sullivan, this coaching program, and literally my unique ability is like learning things, dissecting it, taking it in, and then executing. Like that's just like what I do in my nature. And so it's easy for me to just ask how and figure it out and implement, build a SOP processes, give it to my team. And I know that I can execute. I just have to make sure that I'm spending my time on the highest leverage things and letting my team do the who. So like, here's a perfect example. We're building. So right now we have a done for you system from a marketing perspective. We're building a done with you and a done by you course, community, GPT, like this whole thing. And I think it's a big opportunity for us. When I'm building this, I said, okay, how am I going to build through my team and not do any of it? So I had to come up with this whole thing to build through my team, and I'm not doing any of the work. I'm letting my team execute, even though I know I could do it. And that's been a big challenge. But I think this goes back to the piece that's like worst case that's going to happen, the security, the like all this stuff is like you have to do this to build a true scalable business. So I have to do these things. And I feel like if I'm doing the things that a $10 million business would do or $20 million business would do, I'm acting as if I'm that type of business owner and I'm doing those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think there's like, I don't know, I just see it in myself and others, the mental game of shifting to that next gear is a learning process, because we know what should happen, or we know we should delegate or work through our team, but those long patterns that we've had for so long that have served us so well too, right? Like
exactly,
that's what had created the success in the first place. And we'll let go of the thing that worked can be really hard to do.
Yeah, you have to keep reinventing how you work, who you are, what you do, but you have to give yourself the liberty to fail over and over again. And you think, you read these books, you have these coaching people that tell you to do this, but you're like, I don't know, this hasn't worked for me before. Like, how's it going to work for me again? And you have to keep taking the risk and failing, and hopefully it works. Maybe it doesn't work, and go from there.
Yeah. What's something you used to believe about marketing that you've completely changed your mind about?
Social media sucks. So I used to be really big on like Neil Patel, SEO, numbers guy, like, okay, it's just all numbers game, brand, whatever. Brand will come when you get enough Google reviews. I used to believe that. Things are shifting now, specifically from a Google search engine results page to AI, all this, different searches, Google's recommendations, ChatGPT, whatever it is. And now brand is what's going to carry people through, specifically content creation and building a brand that Google or whatever other platform it is, ChatGPT, recognizes as the go-to company. And how can you set your company up to be shown on these platforms? And specifically in the home service space, there's been very poor execution of social media. For example, this guy behind me, Tommy Mello, home service millionaire, $200 million home service business, was not running Facebook or Instagram ads, never posting on his Facebook or Instagram, and he built a $200 million home service business as of a year ago. Now he's shifting to different things. But historically, that's been the mantra is like, don't worry about building brand, just hit Google. That's where everyone goes to search. And that's shifted a lot, and it's going to continue to shift. The problem is that a lot of home service businesses, they think, oh, do I need to go dance on TikTok? Is one thing. First or second is that when I create content, I'm not getting any leads from it. So how do I know that this is working? And this is the big dilemma, is that on Google, spend some money, get some leads, all good. Post content, who knows if in 6 months or a year, if it's even working, there's poor attribution, and it's hard to articulate what a value of a brand is. And it's a complete mindset shift that a lot of people are missing. And even our clients, when we coach them through it, they're like, I don't see much value in that. Okay, you'll see it.
Yeah. So what do you tell them? They have that skepticism or hesitation to lean into the brand where you might not see results for a long time.
Yeah, you will see results. The hard thing is that it's hard to attribute. I posted this Instagram video. I got 10 leads, right? It's like for home service in particular, it's hard to articulate that specific thing. It's a brand over time, running ads, all that kind of stuff. So what we tell people is, what type of content are you going to create? So what we do, there's a book called They Ask You Answer. This guy, Marcus Sheridan, I have the book over here. He just had another book called Endless Customers, and he was on our podcast and he's coming back on again to talk about this. But basically, he has these pillar pieces of content that you should be creating, which is like, how much does something cost? This versus that content. So like this roof versus that roof content. Big questions that people are asking in the industry. What's the best type of shingles for your roof? Testimonial type videos, like all these videos that you could be creating, whatever your customers are asking, create that type of content. And then Gary Vee, he has a book called Day Trading Attention, where he says, whatever content that you create organically performs the best, now you use that to run ads with. And now you have a framework because you have your organic content being posted and you have ads that can help you scale your business. So that's the coaching that we try to do with our clients. A lot of them, they want to do social media content. They don't know how. We have a service where we actually hop on a call, record content with them, edit the content down, help them. The hard part is getting the value piece for them, that it's hard to attribute things with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What are you excited about as you look forward? When you look at the vision for your business and where that's going?
Yeah, I mean, I create a ton of content. I think I have over 700 YouTube videos at this point, blog content, social media posts, all this stuff, podcast interviews. And we're distilling that into a GPT where people can have instant access to me and all of my expertise to ask questions. Our team, other people, that are sign up for our services, whatever. That is very exciting to me. Also, like AI agents, utilizing all of these SOPs, processes. Like a good example of this, all of our clients, we train a GPT on all of our clients. So every single client has something that's learning about them 24/7 that now we can deploy inside of our SOPs and we can deploy when we create content with. So there's a lot of cool things from a tech side that we're very excited about. A lot of companies are going to get left in the dust if they're just praying to the Google gods.
Yeah. And what legacy are you trying to build through all this? Like, what do you want to leave behind at the end of the day, whether it's to the community, to your family? What's the important, fulfilling kind of part for this for you?
Yeah. Since college, I had this life verse, which is, God is love. If you don't love, then you don't know God. And even this morning, I was taking my daughter to school, daycare, and we're talking about like, what does that look like? And it's like, I just want to love people and solve problems, regardless of what that is. Like when I started my blog on personal finance, I was just helping people, sharing things. I wasn't making any money. Then I quit my job, bought a bus, and started creating content online to help more people and do things. And like everything that I've done, for me, I find the most fulfillment when I'm just solving people's problems and helping them. The money will come if you make enough impact, in my opinion. So it's really just about like, how can I use my talents to help people? And it sounds cliche and silly, but it's like, the money will come. The more people that you help and the bigger problems you solve, you're going to get paid either way. So really that's what it comes down to. It's just like helping people.
Yeah. And final question, what's something that you need to remind yourself of? So let's say you're watching this recording 6 months, 12 months from now, what's something that's going to be important as a reminder or a touch point for you on your journey?
Yeah, this is something that the coaching program that I'm in now, Strategic Coach, it really helps a lot with this, because it's like you got to zoom out and think about, dude, how far have you come and like the accomplishments that you have. And like having an accomplishment goal list of like all the things that you've done, and like think about how many people that you would talk to that are like, I wish I had exactly the thing that you have. Like that's their goal, is to get where you're at. Like a bunch of people, right? So it's like, think about how grateful that I am for what I have, and then not, man, I wish we could do this, or we should be doing that, we should be doing this, but think about all the great things I have. So like for me, it's just really zooming out and saying like, man, this is great. We're building some cool stuff. We got some great stuff. You're doing good stuff. You're helping people. Like it's good. Because as a business owner, you can get so caught up, you get a bad review, you get an upset customer, you get an employee that's upset. And you're like, man, like I'm trying so hard. I want this to work. I want these people to be happy. I want that. It's like my intent and my heart is to serve people and to help them. And I have to remember and remind myself, like, I'm not out here really trying to hurt these people or do this the wrong thing. It's a byproduct of when you make mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. People that aren't familiar with the gap and the gain
Yeah.
Great book. It's a
Yeah.
good
Dan
reframe
Sullivan.
on how you approach a lot of this stuff. Well, thanks for coming on, Phil. It's been great getting into your world and hearing how you're building up the business and being a dad at the same time.
Thanks, man.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, if you're a home service business owner, 1 to 10 million in revenue, and you're like, hey, maybe you can look at my stuff. We do these free marketing audits. So you can go to Flash consulting.com and set up a time to discuss your business. If you just like, hey, Phil, you're a cool dude, you can check me out on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. Instagram. If you want to check out our YouTube channel, I said we have 700 some videos of just like really good stuff. So Flash Consulting on YouTube. But yeah, any of those places, even if you just want to email, Phil at Flash Consulting, chop it up. It's all good. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, man.